Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Friday, February the 4th, and welcome to our video commentary. We're going to talk about a couple of topics today. President Biden in New York City and Beto O'Rourke. I wrote a post about Beto O'Rourke's campaign over at the American Thinker this morning. Let's talk about President Biden. President Biden was in New York City to talk about crime. As you probably know, there's a crime wave going across the country, particularly in many of our major cities run by Democrats, whether it's New York City, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Chicago, St. Louis, Milwaukee, Seattle, Portland, Minneapolis, LA, San Francisco. All of these cities, of course, are run by the Democrats, and there's been quite a crime wave in many of these cities. And the Democrats are under a lot of pressure locally to do something about it. And President Biden decided to get into the act and went to New York City to meet with the new Mayor Adams of New York City. Now, Mayor Adams ran on a ticket to get tough with the criminals, but he's having a very difficult time implementing a plan. Now, a couple of weeks ago, as you may remember, a couple of young officers were killed in New York City. And the widow of one of these officers gave an amazing speech in which she really took on the political class directly and said, hey, you guys need to do a better job in what's going on because, the policemen are not safe anymore, which is, of course, true. This is a sad thing. We're seeing attacks on the police in ways that I, frankly, don't ever recall before. So the president went up to New York City. He met with the mayor, he spoke, and instead of talking about crime, he got off again on gun control, and we got to do something about the guns coming into the city. Look, I don't deny that guns coming into New York City are a problem. Of course they are. But that's not the real issue. The real issue is you got to get tough with the criminals, just like Mayor Giuliani did back in 1993 when he became mayor of New York City. Back in 1993, when Giuliani became mayor, he was able to implement some very tough policies. And within a couple of years, New York City was a safe city where people can move around and do business and go shopping and go to the shows and not have to worry about crime. Well, that's not the way it is right now, unfortunately. And Mayor Adams should look back at that example, at the template that Giuliani set aside for him, rather than get off on gun control. Gun control is not the problem in New York City. The problem is criminal control and the fact that many of these judges are letting people off and putting them back in the streets. And that's the real problem. That's where the focus should be, on fighting the criminal, not another speech about gun control that will not solve a single problem in New York City. So I think the president went up there hoping to do something, but I don't think it's going to matter a heck of a lot because, again, the problem is not gun control. The problem is criminal control, and that's what the focus needs to be. Now, my second topic today is a post that I wrote over at the American Thinker about Beto O'Rourke. Now, he's running for governor, as you know. He's got a primary in March, just like Governor Abbott has a primary in March. And Beto O'Rourke has been running a very interesting campaign. He's focusing purely on Texas, and he's focusing a great deal on what happened a year ago with the power grid when the lights went out, as you may remember, and we had several days when we were freezing in many of our homes because the lights were not working, the heaters were not working. It was not a good situation. I think anybody who lived through that remembers that it was not a good situation. The governor, of course, has become very proactive on that issue. He's been on top of the situation. He's doing press conferences every day. He looks like a man who obviously learned his lesson a year ago that this could be politically very difficult. Beto, on the other hand, does not really have any solutions for anything other than he wants to talk about climate change and, keeping Texas the energy capital of the country. But he doesn't really have any specifics about the power grid. And I think Beto was really invested on the idea that the lights would go out again so that he could make an issue out of this. Well, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen because I think we'll get through this situation without the problems that we had a year ago. And that's going to be deadly for the Beto O'Rourke campaign because they're not connecting with Texas voters. as you can see from the polling data. The very latest one is 11 points. He's 11 points behind Governor Abbott. And when you look at the average of the last 5 or 6 polls, it's about 9 points that he's under. That's a big number. That's a big number to make up, especially against a Governor Abbott who is fairly popular. He's not super popular, but he's certainly around 50% approval, which is a number that you need to be reelected. Governor Abbott also has a lot of money to do the campaign, and it's going to take a lot of money to campaign in Texas because this is a big state where you have a huge TV market where you have to run a lot of ads, whether it's Dallas or Houston or San Antonio, El Paso, Lubbock, Austin. All of those TV markets will require a lot of money. And right now, Abbott has it, and Beto, of course, is trying to put his campaign together. So the weatherman did not help Beto O'Rourke. I'll just put it that way. We didn't get the freezing temperatures that we got the year before. So as a consequence, the lights didn't go out. And in many ways, that was a great disappointment for Beto O'Rourke. My post over at the American Thinker is available there. You just check it out. Just go americanthinker.com and you'll see it on the right-hand side. You can also see it on my Facebook page or my blog if you follow those. Thank you for watching. And if today is your birthday, happy birthday. Bye-bye, everybody.